Hey, it's Benjie Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio and host of People of Distinction, the talk that gives an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, peopleofdistinction.org for more info, or you can always email me directly at benji@alcoleenterprises.com. And on the line with us today, we have Belinda LaForce. We're going to be discussing her amazing poetry book, Crystal Reflection, Seasons of Inspiration That Which the Lord Hath Made. Available for purchase through Amazon as well as barnesandnoble.com. And people, listen. Belinda was brought to our network, People of Distinction, today by some of the best publishers in the business, okay? Good River Print and Media Publishing. So if you or anybody you know have a book that they'd like moved, well, give yourself the best gift you could possibly give. Contact the fantastic team over at Good River and have them move it for you. You can find out more information on them at goodriverprintandmedia.com. This poetry book is meant to inspire. Now, given all the things that we have going on in our day-to-day lives right now, who amongst us could use a little more inspiration? I know I can, right? I'm sure you all can as well. Not only is it meant to inspire, but also it's all about unity, right? One of the underlying messages, people, is we're not alone. Now, you may be going through certain things and you may feel like there's no resource around you. You may feel like you don't have a support system around you, but I promise you that's not true. Whether that support system will be family or friends or people that are in this physical world, or whether it's a spiritual support system that you put your faith into, this book is going to help you open your eyes and really analyze what you have around you. And I love that, okay? I absolutely love it. It's going to be a fantastic resource and a book that you absolutely are going to want to add to your shelf. And at the end of the day, Belinda is the expert. She's written it. She's going to be able to articulate it much better than I ever could. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Belinda, first and foremost, welcome to People of Distinction, and thank you very much for being a guest. How are you doing today?
Thank you, Benjie. I am doing great, and I loved your message there at the beginning because that's how I came about writing some of these things. You know, when you go through trials, you get sadness, you feel lonely, you feel depressed, and sometimes you just feel like there's no one out there that understands you. Mm-hmm. And I hope through writing this book that a lot of people will find themselves and come to know that, hey, there's other people out there going through the same things, and we all kind of have the same underlying feelings. But there's always that hope.
Absolutely. You know, and Belinda, that's why I feel like your book is so profound, right? And I think that that's where a lot of the power lies in those pages, because you knew, and well, I'm speculating now, of course, I'm assuming, and you know what happens when you assume, so I probably shouldn't do this, but I'm going to put it out there. I would assume, maybe the poetry started almost as a cathartic experience for yourself in some of the adversity that you were facing. But you had the wherewithal to know the words you were putting on the page were going to be beneficial to your readers, right? You had to have known, whether it was through other people's spurring you on, divine intervention, you know, somebody spiritually talking to you and pushing you in this direction, or if it just came from your own knowledge. But what you've done here is profound, because I think oftentimes that notion gets lost. I think oftentimes we only see the challenges in front of us. We only see the adversity we're facing without realizing a lot of the resources that we have readily available. And I love what you're doing here. And that's it. I'm going to stop right there, Belinda, because this is about you. It's not about me. So let's jump right in. I want to learn more about yourself and your background before we go into the book. So let's start there. Please tell our listening audience a little bit more about you.
Okay. Well, I have been married for 45 years. I'm just getting ready to turn 65, and I'm really excited about this next chapter in my life. And that's one of those things that you can look at in two different directions, and we'll talk about that too, a little bit about the book. But I have 2 grown children. I have 4 grandsons, and I've retired about 12 years ago from public service, and I had spent 34 years in municipal government. and I was served in many different capacities. The two specific ones I'll mention, I served 16 years as an elected position as city clerk treasurer. And then the next 8 years following, I served as mayor of my hometown. And I still live here today. And so some of the trials I went through were during that time period when I was involved in public service and meeting the needs of an entire community of about 23,000 people in small southern rural Arkansas. So, part of it comes from there. Part of my writings have come from, being married, having a couple of kids and growing and learning myself and growing up as a child. So there's lots of things that went into this book. I have a very creative side, I think, to myself on various levels. Music was a huge part of my childhood, growing up, taking piano lessons and that sort of thing. I actually played the organ at my church for about 35 years until I just recently retired from doing that. So anything that I can do, I love to make things, create things, anything to get those creative juices flowing, along with serving people, has really been the backbone of who I am. And the most recent endeavor that I've taken on, besides actually writing this book, my daughter and I began a catering company about 10 years ago. And so we've been serving people with our delicious food for about 10 years. And we're planning on doing a lot of expansion on that. So there's just lots of things going on in my life. And, when you live a full life like that, you're going to experience ups and downs and highs and lows. And
of course,
you need some people to support you. And so that's where the book come in.
There you have it. Belinda, I love it. Listen, we're going to have to invite you back onto the network, not to discuss this book in further detail or any other books that you write in the future, but just to discuss your background, because my goodness, is it wonderfully impressive and so eclectic. It's not every day that we have a previous elected official on the network, right? I mean, that in and of itself is enough to bring it back on. But congratulations on everything that you've been able to amass over the years. Nothing but continued success to what sounds like a beautiful family that you've orchestrated, and continued success in your catering business. That's beautiful. And without further ado, this interview is all about crystal reflection, and that's where I want to go next. And I really want to talk about the title, okay? Because crystal reflection is such a wonderful image that comes to mind. I mean, it's a beautiful title. Talk to our listening audience. Why did you choose that title to be the representation for your book?
Well, actually, crystal reflection is one of the specific pieces in the book. It appears on page 10. And it's pretty deep and has lots of meaning from all over the place, really. You can get into it and read it 4 or 5 times, and I think get something different from it each time. I've always been a person who liked to reflect back on my life, how did it come together as it did? And then also reflect on, my family and how their lives maybe had some impact on me. And just the feelings growing up, I'm really can get in depth sometimes in just thinking about my emotions and feelings about issues. A lot of insecurities growing up as a child. I was an only child. So a lot of the people that I was surrounding myself with basically were adults. And I was kind of the quiet, very shy child that didn't speak out a lot. And I think you learn a lot when you listen. So I spent a lot of time listening, but then I also spent a lot of time thinking about feelings and different things that were happening in my life growing up, getting married, having children, and so forth, and being in a leadership role. There's so many times you question yourself, you question your sanity sometimes, you question, why things are happening in your life. And so this crystal reflection is actually, each word means something different. Using the word crystal, I believe in this particular piece is actually referring to a crystal decanter of wine that sits on a shelf and that has been there for a long time. And then the reflection refers to the light as it shines through that crystal decanter and how it just puts out this vibrant and exuberant colors throughout the room as the sun reflects through the windows. But then at the same time, you're also reflecting on yourself, your inner self. It actually pictures me in a room staring at a portrait, admiring the lady in the portrait and comparing myself to her, which in the writing refers to someone as a former family member. It doesn't say specifically which one or anything, but it's just comparing what her thoughts were at that time in her life to my thoughts and what this time is in my life. So it kind of, there's that positive and negative both reflected in that, even though the crystal reflects this beautiful light and these beautiful colors. If you take the stopper out of that crystal decanter, you get a pungent aroma of the soured contents of the wine, which can basically reflect on how you feel inside. You have a soured content in your life, something that's, a negative feeling, and then that is ejected out. So it's kind of, it's quite a reflective piece. I don't know if you would like for me to maybe read just a mere bit of this particular passage, since it is kind of where I got the title name for the book. I'd be happy to do that.
Yeah, of course. Please take it away.
Okay. Crystal reflection. To all those who may hide behind lead crystal, and to those beyond my life, I will never have a chance to love. Crystal sparkled through the dimly lit room, beams of color palettes flickering from the reflection of the picture of a mere shell of a beauty caught my sight. Not only a reflection of steps along a path, but a mirror of the contents of the vessel. I am not sure how long the wine had endured its capture in the tomb of lead. I would say it's probably a lifetime. I admired the hues of purple and gold as they danced through the air. I imagined how she danced between the crevices of the gray matter, love and laughter, filling the passages of her thoughts and dreams. So sad, I thought. They never were to escape, invariably breathe the air of life. Possibly the air itself would cause its ruin. But then I realized that which is real sometimes lacks perfection. Dreams, however, are as we dream. Oh, to have conversed on a cool fall evening when barriers sometimes rest. What I could only fathom of what lay behind her smile and buried deep within her bosom. Eyes of green gold held a sparkle, yet told a story of loneliness and sorrow. Prideful endurance possibly kept their secrets. The connection of colors between the crystal decanter and the painting was not coincidence, I'm sure. I was here at just the right moment to capture its presence for a reason. A lesson to be gleaned, perhaps, was its cause. She sent it to me as she read my thoughts. An answer had come from the past to answer questions that whisper through my days. That's just about halfway through. I won't read the whole thing. I'll let the readers be surprised with the finale of Crystal Reflection.
I love it. I love it. Guys, this is so deep. I mean, this is going to make you ponder. And what I love about art is it's always based upon interpretation for the individual reader. So your interpretation may be slightly different, but one thing is certain. It's going to create conversation, and it's going to make you think. I absolutely love it. Belinda, what would you say was a highlight for you in writing the book? Or if not a highlight, maybe something that surprised you that you weren't anticipating before you began on this journey?
Well, I've been actually writing for probably, for at least 20 years. And actually, when I was in high school, I wrote a few things and was inspired by a few teachers to write poetry, and have always loved poetry and books that cause you to think and reflect, and that's all been important to me in my life. But I don't write every day, and this is just something I have to feel inspired. there has to be something in my life that is needing to be said outwardly and maybe written down on paper just to help me personally get my thoughts out and then reflect on those thoughts and what it means to me. And so I've just kind of done that over a period of 20 years. And that's basically what this collection of poetry and reflections are. They're just things that I wrote during that 20-year period for whatever reason that helped me cope with what was going on. Because, you know, you don't always have a person you can just sit down and express yourself to in this manner. And this way you can say anything and everything you want. You can write it down on paper, put it out there in the world, and hopefully that somebody else will read it, understand. And it's been you know, kind of a therapy, really, you know, what you go through when you're writing things like this. So it's been a great help to me, and I hope in return I can be a great help to someone who might read it and find some similarities in themselves.
We know about your background. We know about this fantastic book, Crystal, Reflection. Well, I want to know what's upcoming, what's in the future, what's on the horizon. Please tell me that there are more that you're planning on writing.
Oh, absolutely. I definitely have plans and actually have already started writing a book of my memoir, kind of on my public service years. You know, being from a small rural town in Arkansas of about 23,000, I was the first female to ever hold a leadership position as mayor. And the length of time that I spent, you know, working for the city and serving the people, it was that's quite a long time, actually, when you look at 34 years of service. Mm-hmm. And so there were a lot of things I want to tell people about, you know, how it felt to be a female. I mean, there were a lot of adversaries out there it was not popular, believe you me,
absolutely,
in 2003 when I took office for a female. And we're in a very conservative community, very Christian community. Mm-hmm. And a female in leadership role in that respect was not well received. But I was able to get reelected to office. I served 2 terms of 4 years. So I think they felt like I had accomplished a few things and had done some good things and still had more good things to do. And so I just want to talk about all the things that we did. And I'm putting that in a book. I'm talking about some of the trials and things that happened because I want to inspire other young women, young girls to get actively involved. You already mentioned earlier about the civil unrest and the social divide and the things that are going on in government today and politics today is so sad to me. I can't tell you the heaviness and the depressive feelings that I have felt over the last 3 or 4 years of all the things that we've experienced and gone on in our nation and here on local levels. And we need good people to keep serving in those elected positions. And I don't think people are being shown good examples today of what that is and what that means. And people are shying away, I believe, for stepping up into service because you're looked at, you're picked apart. You know, you can only make 50% of the people happy any given time. The other 50%, you know, don't like you or are unhappy about what's going on. So you have to be able to deal with those issues. And so I want to provide that encouragement, but I also want to just get my story out there and why it's important for people to you know, be involved in public service.
Hey, you have people, listen, if she wasn't impressive enough before just with her background, now figuring out that she was the first woman to do it in such a conservative place. Listen, could we have selected a truer embodiment of a person of distinction? I mean, listen, I'm very impressed with our selection here, guys. I'm very impressed. Listen, Belinda, as we close out of this wonderful interview, I can think of no better way to end than with another one of your fantastic poems. So if you have another one readily available, myself, my listening audience, we are all ears.
Okay, I think because it's not all poetry, some of it is just some memories and some life stories and some of it is inspired pieces because I am a Christian. I do believe there is a heavenly creator and that he has definitely has guided me through and brought me out of the mire, so to speak, in different times. So there's a lot of it in here that focuses on my thankfulness, on the blessings, and on the trials and things of that nature. But I also have some just interesting, life stories. And one thing, I had a couple. I was trying to decide really which one I wanted to do. I have one that I talk about my grandmother, great-grandmother, but I really think I want to, how sometimes you maybe look at a piece of art, because art is very important to me, and I have a really appreciation for people who can express themselves, whether it's through music or whether it's through painting or writing or whatever. I think it's important that we appreciate works of art, and even some little things that have been in my past that were handed down, some little maybe figurines or a book or something special that was given to me by a relative. So there is a piece in here called An Artist's Hope. So I want to just read a little bit of that one for you. Deprived of stimulating intellectual conversation, where shall I find someone with whom to converse? Who else holds this art dear except me and the dusty figurines on the shelf that represent ancient times and their imaginations? Woe to the one whose craft sits idly by and is shunned, one who has seen more backs than dare to count, and whose peering eyes view with disgust the idea that their only purpose in life is to collect particles of air over time and occupy space. There sits a gift lost amid mundane lives and living, a talent once thought to be worthy of a silver coin, but now left alone in disrespect or unappreciated admiration. Is it just an artifact of a relative or perhaps a friend that one must bear not to part with out of loyalty or fear of being forgotten, yet whose undaunted beauty is displayed for whatever reason? I, but one casts an eye on this creation with a smile, a glimmer of what might have been in the artist's soul. Yes, it was all worth the effort in the beginning, for what has been and is yet to come is a hope of destiny of the amber smoldering from within the creative spirit of the admirer, igniting a fire so great that the palate cannot quench. Let the fire rage until it has completed its destruction of the fantasy. Let the ashes remain, ashes of the dream once held within the head and heart of its creator. Let it be displayed through the ages and suffer the disgust and hatred of its foes. Let it absorb the light from the eyes of the gifted and the love of those who cherish its memories. It may never make history as the greatest work ever, but to the kindred hearts it may find its way into the depth of their soul as a reminder of a dream.
There you have it. People, I love it. If this interview hasn't moved you, pinch yourself. I don't know what's going on. I'm going to say it for you again. I know I don't have to, but I'm going to re-impress it, okay? We're here on the line with Belinda LaForce. We just finished discussing her amazing book, Crystal Reflection, Seasons of Inspiration, That Which the Lord Hath Made. Available for purchase through Amazon as well as barnesandnoble.com. Head on over there and pick up your copies today. It's a fantastic book to add to your shelf, an even better gift to add to someone else's. Head on over there today and pick up your copies. Belinda, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you once again for being a guest on People of Distinction.
Thank you so much. I appreciate being here and being featured today.